Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. The father of a toddler found dead in a Gore wastewater pond 4 years ago says the local council were not responsible for the tragedy.
The Gore District Council case reached the sentencing stage yesterday, relating to the death of 3-year-old Lockie Jones in 2019. Police discovered the missing young boy lying in one of the council's wastewater oxidation ponds and initially concluded his death was an accident. But a year later, WorkSafe charged the council over inadequate fencing around the ponds. However, Father Paul Jones believes 2 substandard police investigations had reached the wrong conclusion about the death of his son.
Well, I asked that this, from today onwards, that this case be reopened by the police. I now ask Andrew Costa to come and front me.
The Gore District Council was ordered to pay Lockie's parents a total of over $82,000, but Judge Russell Walker chose not to impose a fine, saying it would be an unnecessary burden on the district's ratepayers. In Gore, the South Today.
Rugby royalty travelled south last week to unveil a new street name honouring the service of one local family. Sir Wayne Shelford officially opened Invercargill's latest Poppy Street, which pays tribute to the sacrifice Peter Scully made for his country in World War I.
Singing a waiata to mark the opening of Invercargill's newest street, as Scully Place is officially opened. Rugby legend Sir Wayne Buck Shelford travelled to Invercargill recently to help unveil the city's 5th Poppy Street. The street sign honours local hero Sergeant Major Scully. He won the Distinguished Conduct Medal just 6 weeks prior to his death in 1918.
While at first the placing of a poppy on a street sign might seem a small thing, it is a symbol that holds a great significance. It honours not only the service and sacrifice of Sergeant Major Scully, but all New Zealanders who have served their country as well.
The unveiling also paid tribute to the Scully family and their contribution to the Southland district. The New Zealand Poppy Places Trust creates places of remembrance around the country to ensure people who never return from service are not forgotten.
By remembering the hardships, the sacrifice and the gallant deeds of yesterday's soldiers, we recognise the value New Zealand places on those who serve and renew our commitment to support the service personnel of today.
Peter Scully died in France a week before the end of the First World War, along with 6 other Southland men. They were fighting to liberate a northeastern French township, which has maintained a strong affinity to New Zealand ever since. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Owners of a popular Invercargill food store have been shaken by an early morning robbery. The attack comes after a series of other businesses were targeted just last week, and the recent spree is putting some locals on edge.
Cordons were in place this morning following a robbery at this night and day store in Invercargill. Police were called to the food store on the intersection of Tay Street and Lindisfarne Street early this morning following reports of an incident there around 4 a.m. The store's an important part of the local community, and news of this morning's events upset neighbours.
You know, I really feel for them. It's such a traumatic experience for them, and we know them, and they're great people, and they don't deserve that sort of treatment.
Police say there are no reports at this stage of any weapons or injuries. Today's incident follows an early morning spree last week, which saw 4 Invercargill shops hit in the space of half an hour. It's put local business owners on edge.
Yeah, well, we wonder, you know, if we're going to be on the list somewhere down the track. We're not in the same vulnerable position that the shop is, of course, but we have clients and they look at us for safety.
The night and day food store was open again for business by mid-morning after cordons were lifted, with police continuing to investigate the matter. In Invercargill, the South Today.
The popular Regent book sale made its return in Dunedin this week with a complete revamp in how it's run.
The annual book sale has been moved to the Edgar Centre this year after over 4 decades at the Regent Theatre. Usually held over a 24-hour period, it has now been split into 2 12-hour days, with the first starting at 10 this morning. Although the move has meant the loss of live entertainment throughout the sale, the larger location has created better accessibility and more room for the thousands of items.
We are thrilled with the outcome and how it's all set up. We're putting out far more books, we've got far more space. It's not quite so cluttered as it was.
Everything at the sale was donated by the public. The Regent Theatre is run by a charitable trust and relies heavily on the funds raised from this event. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Shellfish lovers have been lining up in the south as the Bluff oyster season gets underway. It's been all hands on deck for oyster factory workers trying to keep up with demand for the delicacy.
With oyster season underway this week, that's meant a steady stream of eager customers at Barnes Wild Bluff Oysters. A team of oyster shuckers are working hard to process the seafood delicacy at the factory near Invercargill. Barnes processed more than 40,000 of the popular shellfish on the first day of the season. That works out to 3,500 dozen oysters. Harvesters have been impressed with the quality of the early hauls after a few tough seasons. Oysters have always been a premium product, but that hasn't dampened demand. And this year, customers can pick up a dozen first-grade fresh oysters for $30, or just $40 for 2 dozen, for those wanting a special treat. In Bluff, the South Today.
An historic aircraft has returned home to the south. Mandeville Airfield has hosted a number of Tiger Moth planes this week, including one with a special connection to the area.
A treasured plane returning home to Mandeville after 25 years. This 1940 Tiger Moth was given a new lease on life by the Croydon Aircraft Company almost a quarter of a century ago. They've been restoring aircraft in Southland since 1984, and company director Colin Smith was thrilled to see the aircraft back home again.
We didn't expect to have that aeroplane come back to Mandeville. We knew it had come back to New Zealand, but looked forward to the day when it may have arrived, and today's the day.
The aircraft was commissioned for restoration by American Ted Miller, who spotted it while travelling in New Zealand with friends. 22 years and many flights later, it returned from the United States and back into Kiwi ownership.
He was deciding to sell it. We thought, well, maybe it's the best Tiger Moth in the world, so we should own it. So we negotiated to buy it off him.
The aircraft's part of a Tiger Moth tour, one of 10 travelling from airfield to airfield. This is the second tour Kubray's taken part in, and he's enjoying learning from other aircraft enthusiasts.
We've been fine-tuning our one to get it to fly better, and these guys say, oh, we'll just do this, we'll do that. And so next thing, they're helping us tweak the adjustments.
The planes are set to continue on to Balclutha for the Tiger Moth Club's annual meeting over the weekend. In Mandeville, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. A large donation of rare butterflies and moths has curators at Te Hura Otago Museum all aflutter. And a massive new Antarctic research station is under construction in Timaru, and it has a new delivery date. Tēnā koe, welcome back. Thousands of butterflies and moths from all across New Zealand and the Pacific arrived at Te Hura Otago Museum this week. None of the insects are alive, but they come from a huge private collection that's been gifted to the museum.
Butterflies and moths of all different shapes, sizes and colours. Ecologist Brian Patrick spent 50 years assembling this vast collection of insects, which he's now decided to donate to Te Hura Otago Museum. Patrick's been collecting the specimens since he was a young boy, his massive collection covering a wide range of biodiversity across New Zealand and the Pacific region.
And the important thing about this work is that it provides a temporal and spatial record of which species occur in what parts of the world, and how that might change with climate change and other pressures on our natural world.
The collection is being added to the museum's Natural Science Division. It includes around 55,000 butterflies and moths, along with thousands of invertebrates, with the museum now boasting the largest publicly housed collection in the country.
It now makes us one of the largest holders of Lepidoptera in New Zealand, and it'll be very exciting to see the research that comes out of this in the future.
And the intricately pinned butterflies and moths provide a great opportunity for scientists to research the species.
So this will also become an amazing resource for researchers, for the Ministry of Primary Industries who want to know different species that are arriving in the country. Some of these are native to New Zealand and Australia.
Along with the insects, Patrick's also donated his handwritten diaries, covering the more than 4,000 expeditions he spent researching and collecting the specimens. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The country's tourism industry could be receiving a much-needed injection of staff thanks to graduates from the Queenstown Resort College. The school specialises in training students in tourism and hospitality management, both areas currently in short supply.
Celebrations for these graduates as the 2023 Queenstown Resort College students paraded through Queenstown CBD on Friday afternoon. 81 students are graduating from the tourism school, gaining a variety of new qualifications in the travel industry.
Okay, my name is Pedro. I graduated from Machine Learning Fundamentals.
My name is Rachel and I graduated with Adventure Tourism Management.
My name is Tane King and I just graduated Adventure Tourism Management.
Students proudly waved their country's flags as they marched down Camp Street on their way to the ceremony at Queenstown's Memorial Hall. Each graduate's had a different journey, with students coming from a range of backgrounds.
Pretty amazing. So I came down when I just turned 18 and then pretty much growed heaps and yeah, it's been pretty good. Now I'm over in Aussie. So
Charlie Phillips, CEO of Queenstown Resort College, congratulated those graduating, commending them on the community they built while studying.
My highlight is definitely meeting a lot of new people and just gaining those lifelong friendships that will just last forever.
And with college now in the rearview mirror, students are now looking forward to heading into the workforce, with the travel industry crying out for qualified staff.
Looking for job opportunities and continue to study to get more prepared.
Queenstown Councillor Matt Wong made the final address, encouraging the group to keep their friends close and figure out how to best apply themselves in the wider world. In Queenstown, the South Today.
One of the world's most prestigious winemaking families are planning their first foray into organic production. Baroness Ariane de Rothschild's plans to visit New Zealand in April to oversee the conversion of the family's latest acquisition, Central Otago's Akarua estate.
These unique Bannockburn gravels are responsible for some of New Zealand's most distinctive wines. Akarua Estate already has a reputation for world-class Pinot Noir, and now the Central Otago vineyard has come to the attention of the Rothschilds, one of the biggest names in French wine.
We really believe that this Bannockburn area has got the best of everything you can find in Central Otago, and we deliver consistently.
The estate will be managed as the first organic winery in the Edmund de Rothschild Heritage Wines family. The Director of Operations at Akarua Estate believes this will showcase the site's unique terroir.
Well, the soil is especially complex, and the exposure, to capture the sun and not be a little bit protecting against the extreme weather that you can have in Central Otago.
The brand's president, the Baroness Ariane de Rothschild, is set to visit the region in April, alongside an entourage of international wine writers. The French luxury brand currently exports to more than 80 countries. The company's hoping to eventually produce about 60,000 bottles a year at Akarua Estate once the organic conversion of the vineyards has been completed. In Bannockburn, the South Today.
The multi-million-dollar redevelopment of New Zealand's home on the ice has reached a major milestone. A 2027 date has now been set for delivery to Antarctica of Scott Base's massive new research station, which is currently under construction in Timaru.
The countdown is on for New Zealand's ice program. A date has just been confirmed for the delivery of Scott Base's brand new built-for-purpose 10,000 square metre building. It's expected to be delivered to Antarctica in January 2027. That'll be exactly 70 years after the original base was opened in 1957. The new prefabricated station is currently under construction on the dockside at Timaru's prime port. Once completed, the building will be deconstructed again and broken up into 8 modules. All the pieces will then be rolled onto a specialist ship, ready for the 3,700 kilometre journey to the ice. The buildings will remain in their original iconic green colour. The government allocated $344 million to rebuild the ageing Scott Base buildings in 2021, along with upgrading its wind farm, allowing the base to be powered by up to 97% renewable energy. The new Scott Base Research Station is expected to be up and running in 2028, helping secure New Zealand's scientific research program in Antarctica for another 50 plus years. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Gore celebrated a national day over the weekend with its focus around kids having fun. Children's Day was in full swing around the country, with Gore's young people filling their day with fun and games.
From getting stuck into the glue with arts and crafts to flipping over their nervous friends on a bike, Gore's multisport complex was filled with kids having fun in the sun over the weekend. And 9-year-old Jessie Gemmell was wrapped with the day.
It was really good because I got to meet my friends and there's loads of activities.
Some families rode around on their bikes or worked on their basketball skills, while others gave their luck a go. Players were able to roll the dice on this large-scale version of the recently released Southland-themed Monopoly game. However, the event itself wasn't left to chance. Organisers have run the Children's Day in Gore for more than 10 years.
And we've had a couple of years hiatus with COVID, so we just did some pivoting. So we're really pleased to be able to bring this back to the community again this year. It's just a chance for family and whānau to get out, enjoy the sun, enjoy some activities, and it's completely free, so it takes a bit of financial pressure off.
All the events are free at the day, with community groups chipping in to make sure the event was a success, celebrating the region's children. In Gore, the South today.
A world-class artist made his way to Dunedin recently, hosting a workshop to spread his extensive knowledge.
Watercolour painter Joseph Zabukvich visited Dunedin for the first time, holding a 3-day workshop at the city's railway station. The highly regarded artist won the San Francisco Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019 for his contribution to the art world. During the workshop, the Yugoslavi-born painted a scene of Venice while giving a few wise words of wisdom to his fellow painters.
So don't follow fashions, just stay true. Follow your heart, paint what you want to paint, and paint for love of it and sake of it. And then if you happen to succeed, well, that's a bonus, you know.
He decided to host the workshop in Dunedin because of his partner, Lisa Wang, who has an amazing legacy in the city after starting her own art school here in the early 2000s. In Dunedin, the South today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. Hundreds of volunteers have swung into action to help get the New Zealand Golf Open off to a flying start. And a New Zealand BMX champion with a need for speed is swapping their bicycle for a race car at the next Otago rally. Tēnā koe, welcome back. The golfing action teed off at Arrowtown's Millbrook Resort this week in perfect conditions. And behind the scenes, hundreds of volunteers have helped to get the New Zealand Open over the line.
Silent suspense as the 102nd New Zealand Open got underway at Millbrook Resort. An impressive 312 pro and amateur golfers from around the world have made their way to Arrowtown, ready to compete for glory and the Brodie Breeze Cup. But alongside the athletes are a large team of 460 volunteers, hard at work making sure the tournament runs smoothly. Volunteer manager Ben Ashford says that some of the crew have been working since October last year, building the large temporary building on hole 18 and making sure the course is ready for the golfers to play at their best.
And they're fulfilling roles, everything from on-course marshals, scoring, transport, pretty much anything and everything is, it sounds cliche, but without the volunteers the tournament couldn't happen.
Many of the volunteers return each year. Some have been involved for 10 years in a row, with Cromwell's John McDonald being the longest serving of the team.
The retention for volunteers, even with a 3-year gap, was 60%. So 60% of those that volunteered in 2020 came back. And it's just fantastic. Again, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's a bit like a family. People we haven't seen for 3 years. Everyone gets involved, everyone's flexible, and it's just a great experience.
With the action getting going on Thursday afternoon, New Zealander Steve Alker has started his tournament strong. He's currently tied for first, alongside 5 others on day 1, with 6 under par, while fellow Kiwi Daniel Helia finished day 1 tied for 11th with 3 under par. In Arrowtown, the South today.
A freewheeling group of children just outside of Gore were jumping with excitement as their new pump track opened last weekend. The bike track was designed for different levels of riders, with people of all ages tempted to have a go.
Southland District Mayor Rob Scott cutting the ribbon officially opening Belfa's new pump track. The $100,000 course was completed in just 3 weeks, thanks to professional track builders Graded Earth. It's a project by the Belfa Lions Club, with around 200 people turning up for the opening day on Saturday. Track creators are stoked with how the locals have responded to their build.
The response is fantastic. It's amazing to see all the kids ripping the pump track, and they're all really respecting each other, and it's a couple of collisions, but it's bound to happen in the chaotic moment, but it's fantastic to see all the kids out here enjoying it.
The bike track was built to cater for a range of skill levels. The aim is to slowly build progression for each rider, taking different jumps faster each time. The pump track was a hit with all ages, as riders hit the course with their wheels.
It has quite a few bumps and it's really fun.
It's awesome. I just had a big crash there.
Oh, I think it's awesome. You just want to be a kid again if you see these kids flying over here. But I might have a go myself in a minute while nobody's looking.
Ardlassa Community Board Chairman Richard Clarkson reckons it's a good project for the township, providing a fresh activity for the area's young people. And there's more to come, with plans to build a half-sized basketball court nearby. In Belfa, the South Today.
A New Zealand Olympic BMX medalist is trading in 2 wheels for 4 as they hit the track in a rally car. Sarah Walker will be taking part in the Otago rally next month and is testing her skills by churning up some dirt in Christchurch.
Zooming around the practice track, adjusting to the steering wheel instead of handlebars. Olympic medalist and world champion BMX racer Sarah Walker has been invited to take part in the Otago rally as a guest driver. She took a test run in Christchurch today, which was only her second time in a rally car, but says she is enjoying the challenge.
I have a motto to live life with courage, and since having my daughter I haven't been able to do that as much.
Rally spokesman Roger Oakley says he is really excited to have Sarah on board, appreciating the professional approach she's taking to the sport. She's using this time on the practice track to hone her skills, and she's happy with the way things are going, despite her limited experience.
I mean, I stayed on the road for most of it and floored it at points and changed gears and got it sideways and flicked up some dust and no, I had lots of fun.
She'll be joined in the 1998 Subaru Impreza by co-driver Grant Mara, who will help guide her through the track come the Otago Rally at the start of next month. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Outram was full of bucking bulls and eager spectators last Saturday as riders clung on with the hopes of coming out on top. Riders from across the country travelled to the township near Dunedin to prove their mettle at the National Rodeo Finals.
Out of the gate and bucking until the rider can't hold on any longer. Cowboys and cowgirls were keen to show off their skills at the Outram Rodeo Club, as the full house watched competitors take on the Broncos and Bulls as part of the rodeo's national finals. There were 7 events across the day, riders looking to lasso, wrestle or steer the animals cleanly, while others just hung on for as long as possible. The all-female barrel race was one crowd favourite, with Middlemarch rider Jen Atkinson and her horse Methven riding off as champions.
It's a real pleasure to accept this award. Methven really is our rock star and he's a huge part of our family. He's a little horse with a huge heart and gives 150% every time he steps into the arena.
Staff were involved in the action throughout the day, this bullfighter receiving a black eye from a beast appropriately named On Ice. The Outram Rodeo Club's been running events on Fred Doherty's sheep and beef farm since 1961, with competitors appreciating their annual efforts.
To the Outram Rodeo Club, again, another good finals, and for the last few years stepping up and doing another couple of rodeos when you didn't have to.
The big day was the last event on the local rodeo calendar, with some bulls trotting off after dealing the final blow for the season. In Outram, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube and Facebook to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.